Hi everybody, Harvey here. So I'm going to do a short video about why I prefer buy, refurbish, remortgage, or more precisely RBRR. All these acronyms make me laugh, but RBRR, remote buy, refurbish, remortgage, over HMO. So, as I said, this is me, I prefer it over HMO, not instead of HMO. So I have got a few HMOs and I don't mind HMOs, but I'm just going to explain why I do single let, buy, refurbish, remortgage properties as opposed to HMO as my main strategy. I get asked this question a hell of a lot. People say, how come you don't do HMOs as much? So I'm going to attempt to answer it now and just say this is why I prefer it, because it suits me and my property why. If you've not heard me talk about your property why before, you've got to find out what you're into property for. So you don't want to just be chasing the big shiny penny of the big incomes and not realise there's some trade-offs sometimes, the bigger the strategy. So yeah, the main reasons that I prefer buy, refurbish, remortgage is when I've done the calculation, where I do, and remote buy, refurbish, remortgage more precisely, is when I've done the calculations, I looked at it today, because there's so much competition, and I was watching somebody else saying they just put beds in rooms and they don't do the ensuite, so there's an argument to say you don't need to do it. But the money that goes into refurbs, I know guys that are spending like 150k on a 3-bedroom house, or between 70 and 150k, turning it into a super HMO with ensuites and repurposing it, and then they're getting commercial lending and going above the bricks and mortar value on the commercial lending. So number one is, I'm not really comfortable going above the bricks and mortar value with lending, just in case something like that now happens. Say if people don't want to cohabit anymore, I think they will in certain areas, but say they don't, say the government put in massive sort of restrictions on HMOs. If you had to return it back, if I do a HMO, I'd like to know I can turn it back into a single let property and still, so buy it cheap enough and turn it back to a single let property if I have to let it out as a single let property and it still works and I still got money left in the discount I bought it in. But when you work out these costly expenses on getting them done, even at a lower end, so I think even a lower end refurb on a HMO with all the regulations nowadays might cost you 20-30k to get nice furniture and to stand out a little bit and be competitive. When I looked at that, I looked at my area, my remote property investing area, which is single lets, which I invest in, and let's say I bought one for 70k that's worth 100k and I got a 30% discount, and let's say it cost me 30k to do it, so I'm in it for the bricks and mortar value then, because I've got no discount. So unless I've done a commercial lending on it and went above the bricks and mortar, I'm only going to be able to refinance my deposit back out. Yes, it might give me £1,000 a month income there and then, which would be nice. Yeah, I'm not going to turn my nose up to that, but yes, it would be much more management. Yes, it wouldn't be as reliable income because you've got people moving in and out, much more maintenance, much more just managing people with socks on radiators or pants on radiators. So there's a lot more management that comes with that. As I said, I'm not against it. I've got a few HMOs, but this is why I mainly go for single lets. But then I look, so if I bought one in North for about 100k, as I said, by the time I refurbed it, said for 30k, my legals and my deposit money and stamp duty, I'm probably going to be into it for about 55-60k. So then if I take that 55-60k, I could probably buy 3 single lets. And they're much easier to manage the refurbs, they're much easier to manage the tenants, they're much easier to find tenants, much easier to keep on the tenants in there long term and the management. And I could buy 3 single let HMOs, or single lets, not HMOs, 3 single lets, as opposed to the 1 HMO. Or I could definitely buy 2, and then I've got a big chance of buying, refurbishing, remortgaging them. So it might take me a year, but at the end of the year, I've probably got the equivalent of 1 HMO in single lets without as much hassle, because I buy, refurbish, remortgage it if I've done it correctly. Sometimes, by the way, I put a disclaimer, not every buy, refurbish, remortgage I've done, I've managed to refinance all my money out. Sometimes I've even not even had it valued up. I've had comparables there, I've had bad valuers, and it's just not valued up. I've had other times I bought ones, and then other ones in that street have been sold, and it's dragged down the price of mine. So I bought mine, say, what I thought was 20% below market value, and then 3 others got sold at that same price, and then I can't get mine valued up. But this is another reason I like the single lets, is because the properties in the north, and remote single let, buy, refurbish, remortgage, the properties in the north, the fantastic thing with that is you've got 20k in a deal, so if it don't revalue, it's 20k stuck in the deal. If you've got a HMO that don't revalue, you've got 60k stuck in that deal, that's a lot more to recover from. you know. So yeah, these are the reasons I like it. I call it the tortoise and the hare sort of scenario. It's a bit slower and plodding on. It's not as sexy, it's not as glamorous. I can't say to people, yeah, I've got this one property that earns me £1,000–1,500 a month, and it's just steady as you go. It's just not a glamorous thing, and it seems like it's forgot about, but it is steady, it's reliable, it's COVID-proof investing. All my single lets, where they're in the north, remote ones, that any tenant that lost their job or had to go onto benefits or furlough got fully covered by it, because we're within that range, and I purposely buy properties within that range as well that can be covered by either housing benefits or by working tenants. We don't know what's going to happen with the markets at the moment. Let's say we hit a massive recession and loads of people lose their jobs and there's mass unemployment. My tenants can go on to benefits and get it fully covered. And if they was a good tenant as a working tenant, they're going to be a good tenant as a benefits tenant. I don't scare the benefit tenants because we fully reference them. And you know, I feel you get good tenants in benefits and in working. As long as you reference them correctly and do the right background checks, you'll get good in both. So we take any, but because we've got the properties that match both, my properties in the south, for instance, don't come nowhere near the benefit rates. If you had a property in London, they probably pay about £1,000 a month rent, and the property is about £3,000 a month. So who's going to suffer that shortfall if that person loses their job? It's going to be the landlord. So yeah, this is why I like remote property investing. Also, this is why I like remote buy refurbish remortgage, is because of the downsides and everything, but also the fact that we can run everything virtually through our phone, which I've been trying to share with people and tell people for a while, but everybody's been scared, that 1 hour myth, saying, you need to be on top of it. You don't need to be. Anybody that continued working in this downturn and in this lockdown had to work virtually. So that concept should be removed for you now. That false belief pattern should be gone, and that Roger Bannister 4-minute miles should be broken. If anybody's not heard of the Roger Bannister 4-minute mile, it's that they didn't think anybody could run a mile under 4 minutes. Doctors even said your lungs would explode, or I can't remember exact words, but they said like physically and medically you couldn't do it, and you potentially could die doing it. And when he broke it, within that year, a few more people passed it, and within a few years after that, loads of people broke it, and people break it all the time now. So that barrier in our head, that limiting belief, that false belief got broken. I'm hoping this lockdown breaks that barrier and that false belief what people had around virtual investing. So yeah, I'm adding an R to it, not like we ain't got enough acronyms or even the D2 essays and all these different acronyms, but I'm going to add an R to this one, BRR, so remote buy refurbish remortgage. Some people don't need to do that. You live in a fantastic area, because not all single lets are made equal, and you've got to remember, even in the south, if you bought a big enough discount in a property in the south, a single let, you might not be able to remortgage it anyway, because you get a cap on how much you can lend against it. I've got properties in the south with over 50% equity in them now, because I can't lend any more against them, because the rental income on them don't stack up enough to do the multiplier, the 125 or 145% multiplier. So yeah, this is why I do remote. Also the barrier to entry, as I said, even if it goes wrong, you've got 20–30k in a deal, with that magic yield fairy sprinkling down a really fantastic return on that 20 or 30k. You can climb out of it pretty quick, where if you've got 60k or 100k or 200k in some of these HMOs, some of the guys I know do down where I live, if you've got that sort of money stuck in a deal and you can't refinance out of it, or the markets go down, or we go into difficulties like we're going into now, and the lender's down value, I'd say the down valuation by the way, then yeah, it puts you in a very, very different sticky position. Unless you're maybe Richard Branson or Elon Musk with lots and lots of money, yeah, and even they're in sticky positions at the moment with the market, you know. So yeah, interesting to see what other people's views are. Let's have a look. A few people's